Hey, what's up guys? Onepeg here. So I wanted to do a video that had to do with the latest changes to strength. And if you haven't seen in the most recent set of patch notes that we have, they modified the strength system as it pertains to weight. Now, rather than having to be at 90% weight capacity, instead, it's closer to about 60%. In this case, when you have 0 level strength, the weight capacity limit changes from that 90% mark, somewhere around 65-ish, to now 48.75 kilograms. So naturally, the question that gets brought up when it comes to this is, what's the most efficient way to passively level this skill without having some super thick kit on and or having to loot things? The other thing that BSG also mentioned was that strength and endurance would now level kind of at the same time if you were sprinting while overweight. In prior patches, if you were sprinting, it did not level strength. Even if you were overweight, it would only level endurance because reasons. So now it levels both. I will mention, though, that endurance in this case will not level if you are overweight and just walking. Endurance is not affected by that at all. In order to level endurance, you still have to sprint, but in this case, at least if you're overweight and sprinting, you get the benefit of a little bit of a boost to your strength leveling. Now, the speed of this still seems like it's relatively slow, but at least in this case, you don't have to thicken yourself up and move at a snail's pace in order to be able to get some kind of a benefit. And it also seems like if you use things like stims, you're still going to reap the reward of that overweight status, even if you do temporarily bump up your stats so that you have a little bit faster walking movement speed. So for the purpose of this video, instead of just kind of covering that, what I wanted to do was look into the different options that you have for passively leveling this. Now, obviously, there are still things like throwing grenades, which tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side, and you get 0.125 points of strength for every grenade that you throw. Additionally, you have the option of using a melee weapon and striking an opponent with it, whether it's a friend or a bot or another PMC that you happen to meet along the way and you decide to melee them. Every time you connect with a melee swing, that's 0.1 points. But the last one, the one that I want to focus on, is the one where we just do it by walking. Now, in previous patches, there were a few different options. One was to use something like a documents case and fill that full of maps. But in this case, the weight of the maps have been changed. It used to be that a map weighed 1 kilogram apiece, but now they've been changed from 1 kilogram apiece down to 0.1 kilograms each. So that no longer makes any sense. The second option was to take an ammo case and fill that full of shotgun shells, which would make it really heavy, sure. But now we can't put ammo cases inside of things like a gamma container. Another option is to take a tank battery and put that inside of an Epsilon container, or if you've finished all the task lines at this point, you have the option of putting that into a Kappa. The tank battery at 40 kilograms puts you damn near close to that threshold. But assuming that people don't have the Kappa or don't want to use the Epsilon, the idea here was to try and come up with some type of a scenario in which people could make this work. So the question then was, okay, well, what containers can we keep in the Gamma? And then what could we put in those containers in order to be able to make ourselves the heaviest? So that takes us to the sick case. The sick case only weighs 0.2 kilograms. And filling that with stuff like golden skull rings or Bitcoin or keys is not going to end up making this heavy enough. So our next option would be something like a docs case. The docs case itself weighs 0.7 kilograms. So that's getting somewhere. The gamma container can hold 4 of them. Since we have 9 slots, you can use 8. Secondarily to that, the docs case is also capable of holding what are referred to as information style of items. Things like the Lada manual, for instance, that weighs 1 kilogram. So in this case, one of the things that has been floating around an awful lot on Reddit is that people have been filling documents cases with Lada manuals, like so, and then using those with 8 Lada manuals to walk around. So in this case, if we have 8 Lada manuals, that's 8 kilograms, plus the 0.7 from our documents case times 4 is 34.8 kilograms. Not bad. And the Lada manual tends to be really, really inexpensive. So this puts us nearly at the threshold. But I wanted to look into the possibility of being able to do this a little bit better. And since the information items that are capable of being contained inside of a docs case also include things like solid-state drives and the SAS drive, in this case, which is also 0.8 kilograms, and only takes up 1 square, That means that for our 2 square option, this makes up 1.6 kilograms as opposed to the Lada manual's 1 kilogram. Now, the Lada manual only sells for somewhere between 6 and 10K, and at the moment makes that really inexpensive, and the SAS Drive is closer to 25K a piece. So there is a little bit more cost involved in this. But from an efficiency standpoint, this ends up being a significantly better option. So again, if we look at the math of this, we have 16 SAS Drives times 0.8 kilograms gives us 12.8 kilograms, plus the 0.7 kilograms from our docks case gives us 13.5, times 4 is 54 kilograms. So that is actually overkill. That's more than what we need, which is kind of what we want. So if we wanted to look for the most realistically viable solution in this case, this is kind of what I suggest, and I'll give you the reasons why. What I would do after looking at all of this would be to take 3 full docks cases of SAS Drives, like you see here. Each one of these gets us almost to the threshold of 42.4 kilograms, including the Red Rebel ice pick. Now, in this case, the Red Rebel is only 0.65 kilograms, which actually is not the heaviest melee weapon. The heaviest melee weapon is actually the crowbar that comes in at 1.9 kilograms. So depending on how you want to go about this, you could include an extra SAS drive to make up for the weight difference or not. In this case, if we're just trying to min-max it and save as much money as possible, or if you don't have a Red Rebel, you can grab yourself a nice cheap crowbar, and that puts us as 43.6. Now, in this case, we're still about 5 kilograms, 4 and change really, short of the 48.75 kilogram threshold that we need. So we want to have a 4th docks case. In this case, what we want is 6 SAS drives in a 4th documents case. What this actually allows for is room for keys, or if you'd rather not use keys, you also have the option of using this for other information items like flash drives or intelligence folders. But in placing this into our gamma container, now we are at 49.1, just over the threshold. So if you're trying to just min-max the crap out of this and you want to do something passive while you're watching Netflix, this is all you need to go onto a map and take a nice long walk. You'll end up generating about 0.4 to 0.6 points every 15 to 20 minutes worth of walking. I would expect to see 1 to 1.5 XP points, give or take, per raid if you were to walk the entire duration. For those of you that would rather not be bored, your secondary option would be to take a pistol, a rig, an extra mag, maybe some meds, a grenade if you're feeling frisky, a headset, whatever it is that you want to bring. Now, in my case, I like to run reserve. So if I were going to do a farming run with this weight build, trying to make sure that I stay overweight for the duration, what I would end up doing is taking a strength stim to put into the gamma container just in case I end up needing that boost of stamina and run speed and strength capacity that would make me inherently a bit faster and would make my sprint come a little bit sooner. And in addition to this, I would also bring the following keys. Now, given that my weight is 53.9, this actually gives me enough liberty to be able to remove a few of these SAS drives. In this case, that the threshold here actually is met by only having 1 drive inside of the docks case as long as I brought these keys. So in doing this, I actually end up having enough capacity to be able to take the 4 PSP keys just in case I want to try my luck with the crates down in the garage and still leave myself 2 squares in case I find an intelligence folder, which you tend to not find more than 1 at a time, but if you do find one, now you have enough room. And because of the keys, again, we're still over the 48.75 threshold, and this gives me the ability to make that run. Now, one thing that I will say is that this Glock at 1.5 kilograms with all the attachments and everything that is on it is a little bit heavier. So you may end up having to mix and match this a little bit if you decide that you're just going to take in a PM pistol or a lighter rig or what have you. The difference will be adding and removing, I guess, ballast in this case, in the case of these SAS drives. So that's what I have, guys. I'm not going to bore you with the running around or any of that stuff. You do end up generating about 1 to 1.5 points of strength for every raid that you run, depending on how long you last in there. It will be slow and methodical, but one of the other options that you have is carrying in something like 10 flashbangs or whatever, and you can give those things a toss and at least get yourself another point of XP from throwing those. And yeah, so Hopefully you guys dug this. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.